What happened to Styx?
The Trade Winds, a late 1960s Chicago band that included brothers Chuck and John Pinozzo, who played bass and drums respectively, as well as mutual friend Dennis DeYoung, served as the band's inspiration. By the beginning of the 1970s, the band had changed its name to TW4 and added guitarist/vocalist James J.Y. Young and John Kurleski. This led to the signing of a recording deal with Wooden Nickel Records in 1972, a subsidiary of RCA. The group then decided to alter its name once more, this time to Styx, which was inspired by a river in Greek mythology that flowed through the country of the dead and the underworld. Early recordings by Styx included their self-titled debut from 1972, Styx, Styx 2 from 1973, The Serpent is Rising from 1974, and Man of Miracles from 1975. These albums show how early Styx music was influenced by prog rockers like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and the Moody Blues. Styx gained a sizable local fan base as a result of their records and relentless touring, but they were unable to break into the mainstream until late 1974, when Chicago radio station WLS-FM began to heavily promote the DeYoung penned song "Lady," which was taken from their second album. As soon as Styx 2 received its gold certification, the song was released as a single across the country and swiftly climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. But at this point, Styx had lost interest in its record company and decided to join A&M for Equinox, their 6th overall release. Kurleski abruptly left the band before the album tour began, and Tommy Shaw took his place. Unfortunately, John would pass away in 1978. Shaw ended up being the missing link for Styx, as the majority of their subsequent albums from the late 70s received at least platinum certification. Crystal Ball from 1976, The Grand Illusion from 1977, Pieces of 8 from 1978, and Cornerstone from 1979. And this gave rise to classic rock radio standards like Come Sail Away, Renegade, Blue Collar Man, Fooling Yourself, and the power ballad Babe. Even though Babe was a huge hit, this now led a conflict between Dennis DeYoung and Shaw between control of the band. Shaw wanted Styx to keep going in a harsher rock path, while DeYoung wanted to focus on more melodic and theatrically focused compositions. DeYoung was briefly expelled from the organization as a result of this, although it was kept entirely secret at the time, and then there was reconciliation. The band members decided that 1981's Paradise Theater, which was largely based on the rise and destruction of a once beautiful theater, would be their first release of the 1980s. And this became a concept album, their first of a couple they did. This was supposedly used as a metaphor for the state of the US at the time. Styx's biggest career hit was Paradise Theater, which they achieved thanks to the major smash songs The Best of Times and Too Much Time on My Hands. But after the album's success, there was even more in-house fighting because DeYoung was now certain that Styx should take a more theatrical approach. Shaw and the rest of the band reluctantly agreed, and while the ensuing follow-up, 1983 sci-fi based Kilroy Was Here, which included the hit Mr. Roboto, was another hit, the album would ultimately lead to their breakup in 1984. The ensuing prop-heavy tour seemed to focus more on scripted dialogue and protracted films other than good old rock and roll that Tommy Shaw and the rest of the band loved. Before going on hiatus in 1984, Styx released a live album called Caught in the Act, and the majority of the band members worked on solo endeavors for the rest of the decade. DeYoung released Desert Moon in 1984, which produced a passable hit single with its reflective title track, Back to the World in 1986, and Boomchild in 1988. Young published City Slicker in 1986, while Shaw published Girls with Guns in 1984, What If in 1985, Live in Japan in 1986, and Ambition in 1987. After that, Shaw joined Damn Yankees with former Night Ranger bassist/singer Jack Blades and guitarist Ted Nugent. This band achieved immediate commercial success with its self-titled debut in 1990, thanks to the top 3 hit High Enough. Unfortunately for them, they released an unsatisfactory sophomore effort, Don't Tread, 2 years later. Styx had reformed during Shaw's time with Damn Yankees, with newcomer Glent Burtnick replacing him. Edge of the Century, their new studio album, was released in 1990 and it featured Show Me the Way, another popular power ballad. The Styx reunion, however, was short-lived as the members split up soon after. D. Young went on to play Pontius Pilate in a revival of Jesus Christ Superstar and released the Broadway show tunes album 10 on Broadway in 1994, while Young released 2 solo albums, 1994's Out on a Day Pass and 1995's Raised by Wolves. And Shaw collaborated with Jack Blades for the flimsy band Shaw Blades, issuing a lone recording in 1995, Hallucination. Finally bringing Shaw and his former Styx teammates together was a re-recording of their debut single Lady for a Greatest Hits album under the name Lady 95, which sparked a full-fledged reunion tour in 1996. However, due to a protracted battle with alcoholism, original drummer John became seriously ill at the time and was unable to participate. He passed away in July of that same year. A new generation of rock fans were introduced to the prosperous sounds of Styx through a humorous car ad that featured the track Mr. Roboto, as well as songs used in TV shows like South Park and Freaks and Geeks. Despite being grieving, Styx continued with new drummer Todd Suckerman replacing Pinozzo, and the band's reunion tour became a surprise sold-out success. This led to the release of album/video Brave New World, released in 1999, which was the group's last studio album with Dynasty Young, and they even managed to release it before conflict broke out once more. DeYoung was forced to take a break from the band when he was diagnosed with an unusual viral illness that made the singer extremely sensitive to light. The other Styx members wanted to continue with new albums and tours, but DeYoung was forced to take a break. Young overcame his problem eventually, but not before Shaw and Young decided to work with new singer Larry Gowan and released 2 live albums in the early 21st century. Arch Allies Live at Riverport shared 50-50 between Styx and REO Speedwagon in 2000, and Styx World Live 2001. At the same time, DeYoung started his solo career and later tried to sue Shaw and Young for using the name Styx without him. The lawsuit was eventually settled in late 2001. A fun episode of VH1's Behind the Music included a story about Styx's rocky career at the same time as Chuck verified rumors that he had contracted AIDS. A brand new studio album with Gowan was released in the spring of 2003. Styx was Shaw, Young, Burtnick, Suckerman, and Gowan for Cyclorama. Billy Bob Thornton, Brian Wilson, and John Waite all made cameo appearances on the album. Ricky Phillips, a former member of Bad English and the Babies, replaced Burtnick before the end of the year, while Pinozzo continued to perform with the band on occasion. A superb representation of the band's career can be found on the 2004 double LP Come Sail Away, the Styx Anthology, while the band's first 4 albums can be found on the 2005 2-disc set, The Complete Wooden Nickel Recordings. The Great Rock Songbook was included prominently on Big Bang Theory, a cover version heavy album by Styx from the same year. Styx continued to travel often during the following 10 years but made few records. As the Regeneration EP released in 2010, they redid a few classic songs. A follow-up was released in 2011. Through the 2010s, the group continued to perform live, and in 2017, Styx released The Mission, a well-received sci-fi concept album that marked the group's first original music since 2003. A further studio album, the dynamic and uplifting Crash of the Crown, was released by the group 4 years later. Styx was admitted to the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum Hall of Fame on June 5, 2022. Dynasty Young was also admitted that evening as a songwriter. And as of 2023, both Styx and Dynasty Young solo are still out there performing, and they are alive and well. And that's what happened to Styx. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Give me some facts about the band that I failed to mention, and let me know in the comments below. Do you think Styx will ever reunite with Dynasty Young? I say 99% chance no, but let me know if you have a different opinion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.